So, what is the mourning ritual? Well, the mourning ritual is symbolic of Jesus fasting in the wilderness for the 40 days and 40 nights. And since that is where that's the reference for us actually doing it, we try to recreate the same type of environment, meaning that we ensure that the person who's going through the ritual is as close to nature as possible, so they ensure that the flooring of the space where they are being laid is not concrete or with no anything like that. They use natural ingredients to create the flooring, and they give them as little comforts as possible, meaning that they actually lie down in a bag, um, what we call a feed bag or something like that, and they have the least amount of comforts that's there. At that time as well, they would fast where they would eat no flesh, and they would have the minimum amount of nutrition just to sustain them for the period of time, and for at least half of the period, um, they will not actually wash themselves in terms of having a bath or something. They will just, do the basics to stay comfortable. All right. Okay. What does the ritual consist of? Basically, what happens at this point in time is the we call them the candidate, right? The person who's embarking on this journey. The candidate would be pointed, and that's why sometimes we call it pointing in our circles as well, because as far as we see it, the candidate would be then pointed in the direction that the spiritual mother or father, whoever is doing the ritual, see that that person should go. And usually they would understand what the direction is based on the vision that the candidate would have given to them um, when they first embarked on the journey. Because usually, what happens is that the candidate will have a vision, and based on what the vision says or how the spiritual mother or father will interpret the vision, they will understand that the candidate needs to embark on this journey to kind of probably solidify the way they progress in their faith and how they handle whatever gifts that they may get while embarking on this journey. Now, what happens really, it really starts off in the church where the candidate is prepared for the journey. And that preparation would really be in the form of a service. It starts with a service, and at the end of the service, what will happen is the candidates would bands will be placed on their head, covering their eyes, because basically they're trying as much as possible to remove the candidate from this world to kind of prepare them for the journey that's ahead. The bands are signed, and the particular signs that the spiritual mother or father would put on the bands would be based on, like I said, their perception or how they envisage the journey would be and where they think that that particular person would go. And that also determines what color bands they use as well, because they will have the perception as to who is the patron saint of this person and what colors they would need to use to appeal to that particular patron saint also, right? Um, Once the church part of it is completed, they then go into what they call it's almost like a sanctuary, and that particular space, not everybody from the church will be allowed to go in. It's a small space. It's a space that's created so that the person will be as near to nature as possible. The only real comfort they would have would be walls and a roof. Other than that, every other part of it would be as close to nature as possible because the floor would be done with natural materials. There would be no concrete or no wood preparation on it, and the candidate would be put to rest on what we would consider some kind of bag or something. It wouldn't be anything that's comfortable like a mattress or so. All right. For the first 3 days, the candidate would be basically what they consider it to be is the candidate is in a tomb, symbolizing when Jesus Christ died himself for 3 days. So they literally place the candidate in what they consider a tomb because basically what they're looking to do is to to put a death to the old person and to actually raise a new person who's going to continue the journey. So at the end of 3 days, they will actually raise the person. They'll have them wash themselves. They would change the bands to some extent, and then they will actually put them on the other part of the journey, which will see them going into certain arenas and receiving certain gifts. And that is the part of it. And at the end of that journey, what they do then is first tell the mother or the father, whoever actually did the ceremony ritual, they would tell them exactly what they would have seen and what gifts they would have gotten. Certain things might need interpretation, and the mother or the father will help them do the interpretation, and then they recognize what their place is in the particular assembly. This ritual is extremely important to the religion because if we consider how important learning and learning institutions are to us as a people on the whole, the same analogy could be made because this is the space where people go in to learn stuff, to be trained, to get all the tools that can equip them to operate in the environment that they need. So without the ritual of mourning, right, it will be difficult for people to progress in the faith, to understand what they need to do, to understand how to hone their gifts, to understand the mysteries of the faith. Let's call it that. And this is the training ground where they literally get certified, for want of a better word, to in whatever position that they intend to hold, so that someone therefore cannot really move from one position in the church to another position without having first gone through what we would consider the university of Christ by actually going down on the mourning ground and actually getting the seal on whatever gifts they may have gotten. And that is really why it's important, because if that is not done, then we're not sure that they understand exactly how they are supposed to operate, how important their gifts may be, and just where they are in terms of the hierarchy of the organization. We have to understand that there are definite roles, for want of a better word, there are definite positions, and you have to be qualified to be in those positions because basically people's lives are at stake at the end of the day. And so that's how important this ritual is to the religion.
My God. Mighty God. God, you're real, you're real. My God.